Today I'm going to be talking about lenses that are manual aperture and auto aperture. Now I've seen a lot of YouTube videos about older Nikon manual focus lenses, and they've mistakenly been referred to as manual aperture. Well, they're actually auto aperture. An example of a manual aperture lens would be a lens that the camera does not stop down when a picture is taken, to where you have to manually open the aperture to focus and compose, then close down the aperture manually to get a meter reading and shoot the picture. Well, these older Nikon lenses, they're, like I said, they're still auto aperture. I mean, when you use them on a modern Nikon body, especially like a low-end body like this D40 I'm showing you, there's not going to be any kind of metering. You're going to have to put the camera in manual mode and set the shutter and aperture yourself, and have a handheld light meter, or use Sunny F16 if it's sunny. But it's still auto aperture, and I'm going to show you an example of this. Let's see, let's set the lens aperture to f8, and I've got the shutter speed set on 4 seconds. So when I take the picture, you'll see the aperture close down for 4 seconds, then it opens back up. That's auto aperture. Now I'm going to put a manual aperture lens on the camera and give you an example of that. Okay, here's a manual aperture lens mounted to the camera. This is my Jupiter 37A 135mm f3.5 lens that was made in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. Now there's no linkage in here connecting the camera to the aperture blades. The camera does not control the aperture at all. You adjust the aperture by turning this ring near the front of the lens. Let's see if I can get that where you can see it. Okay. See, now the camera does not hold the aperture open and let it stop down when the picture's taken. It just stays where you set it all the time. It's still closed down. Now when you take the picture, nothing's going to happen. The aperture is not going to change. So what you have to do with a lens like this, it's really slow to work. You got to open the aperture so you can have a bright view and you can compose and focus. Then you got to stop the lens down and take a meter reading, if your camera meters with this lens, which this one doesn't, and then shoot the picture with it stopped down. It's a slow way to work. It's a slow process, but that's how you have to do it with a manual aperture lens.